Hello, everyone. This is Tony Bristol again with the I Am Cured podcast. And I have a very special guest today with me, Suzanne Gwynn. She is the founder of the LadyBug House. She's been doing great work, for most of her life. She's been a nurse for 38 years? Yeah, almost 40 years. But
Yeah.
really, I just have, myself, I know I've shared that I've been in the healthcare profession for only about 18 months now, but I just have the utmost respect for nursing. They are really the ones that connect the community and the patient with medicine, and it's a true gift whenever I come across a nurse, through my own care, and I just praise them, give them all the gratitude, because they are the angels that lead us who have the illnesses or the struggles through the what sometimes can be a very scary moment in our lives. And I just like I said, not only has she been a nurse and what I say doing God's work for the last 38 years, but she's also been led by a mission. So I'd love for you to kind of share your journey as you discovered what it was to really start this venture, this LadyBug House, and we'll go through kind of where you are today with it. But I'd love to hear kind of your journey from the beginning and how you discovered what the need was and how you play a role in that.
Hi, Tony. Well, thank you so much for letting me share this journey with you and your audience. I'm super grateful for it and truly blessed. So, as you said, I've been a nurse for about 38 years now. And when I first started, I started doing bone marrow transplant, pediatric bone marrow transplant back around 1996. And during that time, I was working with the Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center. They were at Swedish Hospital. And we would literally have kids and families, not only from around the country, but literally from around the world. And watching these families spend months and even years in the hospital and never getting out, never having a place for respite, never having a place to go. And I started thinking they needed a home away from home. I think the one boy that really made me go forward and say, like, I have to do something was a boy, Mark Stutz. He was 5 and from Germany, and his mom was here with him alone. And they'd been in the hospital almost a year, and when Mark died, I was thinking, how will his mother go home? How will she go into their house and see his clothes and his toys? And nobody will ever really understand what she went through. And there was no community for her. So it was like, we have to do better. So that's when it first began. So I started doing some research, and I found out that the UK has been doing this since 1982. They started, Sister Frances Dominica opened a home called Helen House. And the goal was that Helen's parents retired. She had a neuromuscular disease. She was in a wheelchair. Sister Frances offered to take Helen for the weekend so the family and their other child could get away. And when they came back, Helen was alive, they were rested and happy, and it began. They soon, very quickly learned that the community had a need for families to have rest and support, palliative care.
Right.
So palliative care incorporates physical, emotional, spiritual, and psychological support, not just for the patient, but for the entire family. Hospice care takes care just at end of life, and so people often confuse that. So with palliative support, Sister Frances started, something that's taken off over the world now. So I started doing some more work, and I was looking, and I'm like, okay. And I noticed, Vancouver, British Columbia built one about 30 years ago, and then we started building a couple, but here in the United States, we only have 3 homes.
Tell me a little bit about like how organically that grew, and some of the houses that have kind of grown in North America, and the people that were involved in really setting those up.
Of course. The very first home was almost 30 years ago in North America, and that was in British Columbia. It's called Connect Place. And it's called that because the hockey team, the Vancouver Canucks, helped sponsor it. And the city gave land, a land baron donated a house, and the community came together. Connect Place has been operating for about 30 years now. They had like a $9 million a year budget, and until recently, they were only getting 1.8 from their federal government.
Wow.
And in 2013, they opened up a second home in Abbotsford, British Columbia. So in BC, there's actually 2 homes there being supported primarily by their community. Then
about families do they actually support?
Families come in and out there. It's part of their home hospice respite too, but I think they said they see about 400 a year.
Wow.
So they see that the need is growing over and over. And it's not just all for end of life support, it's for respite support. So the way that they work, just like the one in the UK, is families, when you become part of the home, part of the project, you get a passport. So then basically this book gives you, say, 30 days a year that you can book time, like going to a lodge or whatnot. Because remember, if you have a child on a ventilator, or your child is a feeding tube, or they have a portacath or central line, or, you know, just meds up the yin yang, or they have seizures.
Right.
Because LadyBug House won't just be for cancer patients. It will be for all kids who have a life-limiting illness. Or primarily, it will be for all families where parents have to provide medical care to their children every day to keep them alive. I found out, you know, when I visited these homes, then I put it aside and I'm like, okay, well, somebody needs to do something. A few more years went by and I'm like, okay, I found out San Leandro, California, George Mark House was the first one built in the United States. I went there to visit them. Again, people made donations, the house was built, the land was given by the city, they had this incredible space. They were the very first ones in America, so they've had some growing pains in living and learning, but we have a coalition call now, so we all support each other, we learn from each other, but they're doing amazing work and they're the leaders. Kathy Hall came and spoke at our breakfast, but what happened then, and then Ryan House was built about 10 years ago now in Phoenix, Arizona, and then 2 years ago, Crescent Cove in Minnesota. But that's it. You know, we have, it's not that we don't have homes that support kids with developmental disabilities. We have like nursing home type things or respite homes for them. But if you're a cancer kiddo or a heart, if you've met your developmental milestones, those places don't exist for you. Those parents aren't getting. And that's what LadyBug House wants to be. Build a community for these families for short-term stays, but also for end-of-life support. So when and if your child is dying, because nobody wants to think about that.
Right.
You know, nobody, you know, we have an adult hospice. We say, oh, prognosis of 6 months or less. We're not going to do any more treatment, yada, yada. Parents are never going to say they're not going to do anything. Right. You know? It's like they're going to fight till the end. The very last breath, they're trying to do something. So you may not see kids on hospice. You know, so we're not trying to compete. I'm not trying to build something that will compete with a hospital that does great work. And we have organizations that do home hospice. They do visiting hospice and will come to your house. But I was one of those hospice nurses. And you're not coming in doing 24/7 care. You're not cooking a meal for a family or letting them take a shower. You're not washing the dishes or doing, the parents are doing all of the work. You're coming in to make sure they have the things they need to do the work. LadyBug House wants to be that hands-on place that says, take a break, rest. We're here to support you. Then, I mean, I have been going to the White House. I've been going to Olympia. I've been talking to legislators. I've talked to Medicaid. I've talked to representatives, and the thing about Department of Health, and it's like nobody's ever done this before. I'm not trying, what I'm saying is, like, when a child is made a DNR in the hospital, people say, well, children want to die at home, or people want to die at home. The truth is, people don't want to die in the hospital. And right now there's no other option. I mean, Medicaid actually only pays for 6 days, even for an adult. So if you're dying and you want to go to one of those fancy hospices, you got 6 days to die. Otherwise,
do it. Oh my God.
We had a boy that we were sending to a hospice in Bellingham, and I just found this out this year because he wanted to go. Mom had a daughter at home pregnant, getting ready to have a baby. Their son had physical, he had had an arm amputated, he had, you know, cancer, and they went to the hospice to talk to them, and they were told, well, he can come for 5 days and then it's $300 a day out of pocket. So basically it was a place for him to go and die, not a place for him to go. And I imagine LadyBug House will be a place to build community, right? So if you find out you're dying, it's not you, it's a place where you can come and grasp that, where we help families and we help people come together, where we help make memories, you know. We take those photos, we have that kennel in the back for your pet to come and stay. We have a garden, we're making memories, and we have a community that's going to not only stand by you during that journey when a life ends, but stand there and help you get back on your feet and continue, realizing that the phoenix will crash and burn, but you will rise again.
Yes.
We became a 501c3 in 2014.
Okay.
I've had all kinds of incredible support from architect firms and legal firms, and we've made donations, and we have a group of, we've had over 245 volunteers that have helped. Thousands, 50,000 volunteer hours have been put into this. But when you're creating something that, quote, the Department of Health says doesn't exist, everything is a new thing. Every document, every form, every procedure. It's not like you can go and copy something. So the other houses, we all work together. We get on a coalition call, because one of the big things is fighting for legislation for respite support. There's no Medicaid funding or billing for respite support for these families. So you have families giving millions of hours every year to doing 24/7 nursing care for their children. There aren't home health nurses come in the community to help them. If they're at home dying, hospice only goes to a couple of communities. The majority of them don't even have home hospice in the community, so it's not even an option for it. Things like, we had a little girl who passed away 4 years ago. She was 4. She had 2 brain tumors, diagnosed at 4 months old. She had 17 surgeries. And when she died, her mom asked me to speak at her memorial. So what she told me was the last month of her little girl's life had been so exhausting. They had to bring in her mom and aunt came to help, because when people, you know, she was agitated, she was hormonal, there were all kinds of things that the family just wasn't prepared for. When their daughter finally died in their arms at home, they waited about 4 hours and they Googled a funeral home. And they called, and the funeral director said, we can't come and pick up your daughter. We don't know why she died, because there's no hospice and no pulse filled out for kids, right? So then they had to call the police. The police come out, but they can't pronounce death. So now the paramedics, EMT, come out. By law, they have to attempt to resuscitate.
Wow. Oh.
Then the coroner. So when she told me this, because she has PTSD, and I'm sure so did the firemen, the paramedics that were there, because this mom was on their back, begging them to leave their daughter alone. So these are the kinds of things that people say, like, you can't say that, you'll traumatize people, you can't, but these are the things, they're not stories, these are people's lives. And we talk about death with dignity, we talk about having quality of life, we talk about all of these different things, but yet it's like, it's discrimination, it's age discrimination. If you are 19 and over, there is a benefit for you. There's support for you. Just because something hasn't been done before. So every year, you know, 43 kids are diagnosed with cancer every single day. And 1 out of every 285 kids 19 and under will have had or has cancer in our country. Only 4% of the research dollar goes to pediatric cancer research. And September, it's fitting for us to be talking, because September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month.
It is shocking to hear the statistics that you're sharing with us today, just because I think a lot of folks don't understand that this, you know, the gaps that exist in this area. And you know, the amount of resources that aren't available to this.
Can I ask you, so do you have a central line or a portacath?
I have a portacath, yeah.
So who does your dressing changes?
The oncology nurses do.
The nurses do it. So a lot of kids have a central line that's permanent in their chest. It's not one that comes in and out.
Right.
Every day those parents do those dressing changes.
Oh my gosh.
They have to flush their tubes. So I have videos of parents who shared with me where, you know, mom or dad's holding the child down, the sibling is rubbing their head, you know, and these are things like the mental exhaustion that families go through, or, you know, when you have nausea, or you know how important it is when you're getting chemo that you have to stay hydrated.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you get a 2-year-old to stay hydrated when they just want to throw up and go to sleep, you know?
Yep.
And so, well, wouldn't it be nice if you knew that your child was stable and you could get a pass on the weekend and come to LadyBug House?
Yeah.
You know, like, even if it just meant you came in for a night. Wouldn't it be great if you had movie night at LadyBug House, or if it was a night where maybe the Seahawks or the Storm or somebody was visiting? And so I think when you ask where I am right now, we lost our office in May. We had a donated office downtown. Hayline Construction donated it to us in the finance center for 4 years.
Wow.
Free of charge.
Wow.
And they're a family. And Jerry Hayline and Jim Stoner are two incredible men. But they downsized.
Yeah.
And so we're now looking for a new home. We need a home office space. And with the face of COVID, I'm not even sure what that looks like. I don't think we hope to have a 12, you know, but a big house, about 15,000 square feet.
Yes.
But with an indoor gym and with sensory rooms and with a big kitchen for families to meet in, and a meditation room where we can do workshops and seminars, and 12 family suites, and each suite holding up to 6 family members, and a kennel for the dog. But I understand that maybe that's not right away.
Yes.
But what I do imagine while we're getting there is a house, if anyone's got a house, is a house or a property that's about 2,500 square feet, where we can have yoga, or we can do virtual bereavement support, or we can do art projects, or we can have a movie in the backyard, or we can have baking cookies, and we can still have a community that maybe we can't offer a place for rest and support, but while we're doing some of our other projects that we already do, like help buy gift cards or cafeteria cards for families because they can't feed themselves, or we do bereavement portraits of children after they've died for the family, or we do Christmas and holiday support. You know, we've helped paid rent. We got a van donated for a mom with a child that her child was 12 and never had a vehicle to get her around. We were able to get one donated and transfer the title and everything. So we do a lot, but we need more. We need money right now and funds. And I didn't think it would be this hard. I thought, and I know might sound for some people, but I struggle, you know, faith is a hard thing for me. As I said to you, you know, Lord help me with my disbelief all the time. And I'm always sure that he picked the wrong person. But, you know, Sisters of Providence, when they built Providence, the Sisters of Providence went on begging tours. And I'm not sure begging is such a bad word, but I said, how can it be so hard to build a home for families to have community when the UK can do it and all these other places can do it? And how is it that the United States of America, Seattle, one of the wealthiest cities in the country, how is it that we have no place for our families to feel like they have a community?
I would love for you to share how people could give to the LadyBug House. So if people who are listening to this are like, you know what, this is totally in line with my heart space and where I want to give myself, you know, either volunteering or resources,
yes, please,
money or whatever it is, right? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you to do that? Website, email? What are those, you know, what are those ways?
We have a website. It's ladybughouse.org, all one word. And then I'm Suzanne, Suzanne, Suzanne at ladybughouse.org, or you can go to info@ladybughouse.org. Thanks to Jennifer. I'm going to say Jennifer Clements, who is a very patient, non-techie person. Oh my gosh, it's taken 3 months, but we have an Apple Pay button on our website.
Ooh,
You have,
that's great.
that is much harder to get than you know. And so on our website, we have, debit, we'll take any credit card, PayPal, Apple Pay. And, we're always looking for volunteers. We're asking right now, though, for volunteers because we have work to do.
Yeah.
We're doing work. And so we need somebody to help with like getting our website. We have some new pages we want to develop so we can tell people what we're doing. Right. We have legislation and lobbying needs. We need people who are really good at campaigning, campaign managers, because that's what we're doing. We're campaigning for the families in our community who do not have a voice. We want to be louder for them, for their children. So we need somebody to help lead us in that. Our mission statement is, if we cannot add days to the life of a child, we'll add life to their days.
Oh, amazing. That's amazing. That's a good message, I think, to end today's podcast. And I just want to again thank you for sharing really authentically what you're all about and what your organization is all about. And it has been inspiring for me, and I look forward to not only working with you in the future on your initiatives and in what you're up to, but also I do want to share some of the stories that of some of the kids that you've worked with also in the future, and maybe have a few on the podcast. Thanks again. Love this podcast. It really is a great way to end a Friday afternoon. And
you're a wonderful man, Mr. Tony. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great smile. Good. I look forward to talking again.
Thanks. God bless.
Okay. You too, hon.